This could kill off the game. Quadrado. Insigne won't catch it. Juan Quadrado. And Morata will finish. Juventus win the SuperCup. That makes absolutely sure. The last kick of the game.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. Juventus players are extremely lucky, Adriano. You want to know why?
Tell me.
Because they each get a PS5 after this PlayStation Cup win, I believe.
Was that the deal?
No, it's not. I wish it was. I wish it was. With Adriano Donardo, I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni here on the Calcio Guys. Too bad we don't have Gianni this week. I think he would have been the perfect guy to ask or talk to about Napoli and Roma. Luckily, he did send us some clips. He has school today. We are going to have Joe Fischetti from Forza Napoli Podcast join us later. Talk about the Supercoppa, the PlayStation 5 SuperCoppa. Wouldn't that have been amazing? The winning team, each player got a PS5.
Well, I mean, listen, that would have been good for the young guys. I don't know how much Chiellini's jumping on the old PS5 there. I don't know if he even knows the controls there, or Buffon, or people like that. But I know for the young guys it would have been cool to give it to. But I think Ronaldo could maybe shed a couple for the young guys of the team. Yeah,
I mean, Zlatan did that in Milan. Lukaku did that in also Milan with Inter. I don't know who else did it. I know Chiesa was asking for a PS5. Maybe he's going to ask Sony for one after winning this the PlayStation Cup. PS5 SuperCoppa, if you want to be exact. But I don't know. Do you have a PS5 yet, Adriano?
I do not. I'm still on the PS4. Still rocking and rolling with the PS4. Sometimes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I didn't jump onto the bandwagon to splurge on the PS5 yet. It might be on the horizon, but not just yet.
Yeah, me neither. Don't worry. I mean, PlayStation 5's motto is play has no limits, and then go to bestbuy.ca and out of stock. There is a limit on the PS5s they've sold, so I guess we'll wait. And if we're going to continue our video game talk, it seems like right now the only place that AS Roma is going to win is on a video game. If they open up their PS5, I wonder if any Roma players have a PS5. I'm sure Zaniolo does. When he's out with an injury, I'm sure he has a PS5 playing PES 2021. Supercoppa and the Coppa Italia are actually in the game. They're officially licensed in the game. That's where Roma could go to beat Spezia, because what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment for AS Roma. Losing to Spezia is one thing. I mean, they're a Serie A side. Napoli lost to them in the season. They're a good team. We like to praise them. But it was just the matter in which they lost, especially after losing the derby. Just horrible, horrible, horrible week for Roma.
Yeah, no, it wasn't pretty. Disappointing.
What? Did you freeze, Adriano?
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were pointing a clip. My bad.
Oh no.
Perfect. So disappointing. Like you mentioned, terrible outing. They went down 2-0 to start off the game in that Spezia match, and they did fight their way back to make it 2-2, but had to go. It almost went the whole distance into penalties, but it got finished. With the ex youth product Daniele Verde. to score in, I believe, like the 109th minute, 107th minute, whatever it was. And then that crazy chip from Saponara that comes out of the woodworks once again with a new team, still has that bald head. And I guess he's just chipping them from wherever he pleases. And shit show for Roma. 2 red cards in a blink of an eye. If you blinked, you would have missed those 2 red cards that were given in that match. And then they've crumbled, no hunger to continue on, and it showed that the players were just exhausted at the end. And Spezia, credit to Vincenzo Italiano's side, showed some fight. Stuck it to a good Serie A team, and they move on. But it's worrying times. It's a worrying week for Roma. Like you mentioned earlier, the derby loss, the big derby loss, that don't even get me started. That was a beyond no show. It was just crazy. But 2 back-to-back sour defeats for Roma, and if things don't change quickly, I don't know how this season's going to continue on for them. I just see no hunger, no spark, no passion, no grinta, especially from Fonseca. I mean, I don't want to bash the guy. I don't want to bash the players because they are a good group of players. But when you show no fight and no passion, it's hard to get behind the team. And just terrible outings for Roma this week.
This evening, missing so many chances. Probably won't sleep too well. And there's a red card. Drama at the beginning. And it's Mancini. He's sent off. And has that just turned things back in Spezia's favour? He was booked in the 51st minute. He's booked again after 60 seconds of action. And Roma will play the rest of the match with 10 men. Well, now the keeper's come out. And what has Pau Lopez done? 2 red cards in the space of 30 seconds. Vignali's cross, Saponara's touch, Dell'Orco, Verde! He grew up with AS Roma, he debuted with AS Roma, and here tonight he drives the dagger into AS Roma. Saponara, 2 minutes remaining. Saponara with the chip, oh no he didn't, what a goal! And that is the way to finish. Riccardo Saponara, exquisite. Glorious.
So we got Gianni to send in a clip about Roma's week. I'll just pull it up. I'll find it here. And this is what Gianni had to say. I mean, pretty short and sweet.
Well, I was asked to share my thoughts about Roma's derby and also their game versus La Spezia yesterday. And honestly speaking, freaking horrible. No other comments, no excuses, nothing. Freaking horrible performances. If I have any critiques or anything I want from the team, well, if it's a little rut that they're in, hopefully they shake themselves out of it soon. If not, hopefully some drastic changes are made before the 31st of January, because only 11 days left to go. And knowing this, I'm pretty sure there's no progress at all in the managerial front. So mediocrity, here we come. Looks like the out of top 6 finish that I predicted at the beginning of the year is very likely.
Strong words from Gianni. We spoke to Gigio on Friday on the importance of the derby, and he said if Lazio win, it's a huge win for them in the season. They jump up into 7th now. They are 3 points behind Napoli and Roma in 3rd and 4th. But I think our Lazio friends, I don't know, between Jerry Mancini and Nando, they didn't have that much hope going into it, and then suddenly things just turned. I mean, it was a beautiful performance. Lazzari, Alberto, Immobile contributed with the goal. I mean, it helped that Roma didn't show up. That's always a good sign. But a derby win is a derby win, and Lazio, it seems like in recent times they've gotten better the better of Roma, because I don't think Fonseca has beaten Lazio in his, what is it now, a season and a half.
So I believe so. The exact stats I don't remember off the top of my head, but honestly, big ups to Lazio in that match. They treated it as a derby. They put it all out on the field. Everybody, their players fought for the shirt, and it showed. like you said, obviously, and probably most fans can agree on that Roma didn't really show up to begin with, and it showed from almost minute one to the final whistle, which is sad because it's a derby. These are big games. This is when you want to show up the most. I remember when we were speaking to Gijo, last week, and saying no matter where you are in the standings, the derby is the derby. This is where you have to fight and claim all 3 points. And it was terrible. Like I mentioned earlier on Roma's part, but you have to give credit where credit's due. Lazio took advantage. They controlled the game. They looked fantastic. Now, for me, this needs to be consistent for Lazio, because they have slipped up at times, but they're a team that we always mention can fight with the best of them because they have the players. It's just the depth, how far this team can go, the consistency, stuff like that. But big ups for them on this derby win.
Ahead of what should be a Serie A weekend to remember. Akpro involved straight away. Luis Alberto, it opens up in front of him, and Lazio with a glory night.
So, by the way, Roma hasn't won a derby since September 29th, 2018. That was only 4 days after we had our first episode here on the Calcio Guys. Since that, Lazio has won 2 derbies, 3-0, and then there was 2 1-1 draws. So 4 positive results in a row for Lazio. The other derby on the weekend, Derby d'Italia. I mean, I'll give my opinion first as the Juventus fan, because it was just
for sure, it
was almost an embarrassing effort from Juve. But part of me also wants to give them the benefit of the doubt, because the 4 starters were out: De Ligt, Alexandro, Quadrado, and Dybala. I'm not using that as an excuse, because Inter were the better team. They were 100% the better team. The better team won. As I said in the podcast last week, I was hoping that there weren't going to be any controversies, and there wasn't. Inter deserved it 100%. Well coached game by Conte. It sucks, right? As a Juve fan, it sucks because it's almost like. The roles are flipped. It used to be Juventus doing that to other teams, just dominating the whole time. Juve didn't really get anything going. Inter were able to shut down Ronaldo. I felt like it was one of those games where maybe Dybala could have contributed, so it sucked not having him there. But, as I mentioned, the better team won. Seeing Chiellini and Lukaku, I know a lot of people are talking about that duel. That was great to see, because I believe it was Chiellini's first. I believe it was his first start coming back from injury, and he just reminded us when he's healthy, he's one of the best defenders in the Serie A. And it wasn't his fault for the loss. There was a lot more problems. I mean, Barella just dominated. What an exciting kid to watch. My God, he's so good. He's fantastic. The goal and the assist. You got, as an Italian, you got to be happy, right? Because in a couple of months he's going to be playing for the Azzurri, and we're going to be cheering for him. So I think he's starting to really make his stamp on the Serie A.
Absolutely, I think. Like you mentioned, better team won. If I was putting my Milan hat on, which I do have on right now, I needed the draw. We need all Milan fans needed that draw.
I think you needed Juve to win more.
No, we needed the draw. Because Juve, no matter how many times you knock them down, they'll come back up and they'll keep on fighting. We've seen it now for 9 damn years. We don't want to see it again. But no, again, like jokes aside and all that, like you mentioned, better team won. Many people saying about the injuries and not having the full lineup, and Juventus have such a. I always say it, and so many people have obviously come to notice this, that they have the luxury of bringing on good players, top quality players, young players that have proven to be stars as well. So yes, obviously you don't have your starting 11, your perfect starting 11, but in these days it seems like nobody does. So I mean that's that, but Inter, kudos to them. The big 2-0 win in the derby, which is again. And we always say it. It's an important match. And I mean, it was funny how the game kicked off with Vidal kissing the Juve badge and then getting on the score sheet. All we were waiting for was a red card, and I think that would have been the perfect night to sum up Vidal. But again, jokes aside, it was a great play by Barella, finding them in the box. I mean, maybe if you have DeWitt there, maybe that doesn't happen. I don't know, but you're still in strong hands with, I guess, Chiellini and Bonucci. I do personally think they are wearing off, but again, you have them in the lineup. They should be good enough to go. And like you mentioned before, Barella. I mean, this again bleed into red card. MVPs later, but Barella, fantastic player. Just what a game for him. Just had a kid, I believe, as well. So he had quite the week, and it's good to see. Like you mentioned, as an Italian, we love to see our young Italian stars do well. It's a shame he's an Interista, but I'm a little bit jealous that he wouldn't have came to Milan. But besides all that, it was a fantastic showing for Inter. It was big 3 points. To keep pace at the top of the table, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Using his physique, whipped in Barella, and this time it's in. And of all the people, Arturo Vidal. But here at the other end, Barella is in behind. It's 2. Oh, and Barella, he has been brilliant throughout the match, and now he has something personal for his reward.
And when I say it's almost like role reversal, that's almost what Juve did today against Napoli. Like it was night and day. With Juve, it was night and day from Sunday to today. Maybe it was Juan Cuadrado coming back into the lineup. I know our friend Daniel Lucci will completely disagree with me. But honestly, I think I know it's crazy to sound, but Bernardeschi coming on as a sub for Chiesa in the second half had a big effect in today's game, and Juve kind of just dominated the Supercoppa. Not as much as Inter did on Sunday, because Napoli did have their chances. They did have the penalty. Chesney did have to make those key saves. But for most of the game, especially for the first 35 minutes of the second half, it felt like Napoli just wasn't even getting the ball into Juve's half. So I'm happy to see them turn it around. It is pretty much an exhibition game, right? There's a trophy at the end of it. When there's a trophy, there's always that pride on the line. You always want to win it, and I'm happy it was a good game too. It was a good game. The first half it was a bit more back and forth. I found it was a good game. I enjoyed watching it. We're going to talk about it more with Joe Fischetti in about 15 minutes or so. And first I'll play what Gianni had to say as a Napoli fan.
My thoughts on the Supercoppa is pretty straightforward. Juve were the better team. Napoli got some good chances, but unfortunately couldn't finish them. Szczesny pulled off massive saves. Ronaldo being clutch like he usually is. I'm kind of disappointed in the Insigne miss. As Art Morelli tweeted, it's 3 out of 4 penalties in his life that he missed. 3 were against Juve, so I don't know if that's saying something. But he's usually pretty good in the spot. But tonight when we need him the most, he wasn't. If anybody's going to complain about the Mertens call, they just need to rewind just the last summer between Napoli Barca, when Koulibaly was about to clear the ball. Messi came from behind, and all of a sudden Koulibaly fouls Messi because he's trying to clear, and he kicks Messi, and they got a penalty for that. So if anybody's going to complain about it, they really need to look at replays. Nonetheless, congrats to Juve winning the Supercoppa. It's makes for a great game.
What did you think about the game, Adriano?
Yeah, I mean, it was an okay game. I found, yes, as much as it was back and forth, I still found it was a bit sloppy, like in the final third. For most of the game, obviously Juve put up a good defensive showing, shutting Napoli down later on in the second half there. But it was good to see that it was back and forth. But I still felt that in the final third, it was just that final chance wasn't there in the final third, and it was a bit sloppy at times. That's probably my only criticism. For for both sides. The Napoli had the chance there with the penalty shot. Obviously, we know how that panned out for Insigne, and it's sad to see because he obviously we saw him in tears, and the camera had to be on him, and now that's like a GIF, meme, anything you want to do on social media now, but. For me personally, like outsider's perspective, it's unjust, that type of criticism for any player. It sucks that he missed. The best of them do miss. It's not easy, but I think even if he would have scored, there was that lack of hunger. There was that lack of fight. From Napoli, and that was one of their few chances that they did have throughout the whole game. So. 2-0 was the final score. That last second goal was, it is what it is there. But, it just sucks that it couldn't have been, I don't know, Insigne's miss, it obviously was a big miss in a final match for the cup on the line there. But I don't know, I think the criticism is a bit unjust. He has a lot of pressure, obviously, on him being from Naples. Being the captain, we say it all the time. It's old news now, but it's on to the next one for Napoli. I think it's a good experience to have, and you walk past that, held up high, and you're on to the next one for Napoli. But credit to Juve, they got the job done after losing one in the derby, like we mentioned earlier, and they like we mentioned, and I hate to say that, like when people think it's like, oh, yeah, just Supercoppa. I don't care. Like for me, it's like there's a trophy at the end of it. It's a cup final. They put a lot of money, effort. PS5 was all over the place in this match. There's a lot of money involved, a lot of everything involved. So I think kudos to them for getting the win. It's another trophy in their cabinet, but I think. This won't be we're still going to see Napoli, Juve on the pitch in Serie A, and maybe in Coppa Italia if those teams can go the distance. So it should be interesting the next time they face each other.
It's rare that we go 22 minutes into the show and we still haven't talked about the first place team. There was a lot of exciting stuff in the Serie A this week, and the two derbies, the Supercoppa. But I found. All the other games weren't very exciting. There weren't many, delicious options on the menu. I really didn't watch much Serie A this weekend besides the Derby della Capitale, besides Juve's game. Milan played on Monday night in Cagliari, 2-0 win. Zlatan's back, scores both goals. Everything's good with the Rossoneri. But you got Mandzukic. Take care of him. From Juventini to Milanisti, take care of him. This guy is gonna fight for your club. He's gonna fight for the crest on the shirt. We loved him at Juventus. The management just threw him out last season. We can't be mad at him for joining Milan. I saw some people on Twitter calling him a traitor. Absolutely not. The traitors were Juve's management for disgracefully letting him go like that. A guy who fought so hard for the club.
I'm glad you brought that up because I feel the same way. He has every right to weigh any options that he got his way, and it didn't even have to be Milan. It could have been any other Serie A team for that matter. The way Juve handled that situation, was it burned a lot of fans. It burned a lot of fans and a little bit of a sour taste. And we all know Mandzukic is a fighter. Everywhere he's went, he's won with many clubs. Champions League winner. Not with Juve, but with Bayern, and he's won titles, Scudetti and stuff like that, and he's one of those players that is versatile as well. You look at him, he's like, okay, this guy has to only play as striker, but he's shown that he can play on the wing as well. He can be that main striker, segunda punta, behind, second striker kind of guy, or just a winger. He's flexible all over in the front of the pitch, and. He'll definitely fight, like you mentioned. That's 100%. He always has, always will, I think. And it was an interesting move to say the least. I know there's a lot of fans that are excited about Mandzukic coming, and it just with the busy schedule, still in 3 competitions, now we're still in first place, and a lot of teams are fighting at the top of the table. It's an addition that helps the squad tremendously with COVID and just injuries and just rotation and stuff like that. So I'm happy to see Mandzukic in red and black. Can't wait for him to get on the score sheet. And it was good. But yeah, no, Milan's game against Cagliari, it was good to see Ibra back. That's 12 goals in 7 starts, 8 appearances. The guy, it's incredible what he's doing after being off for a long pause. But even the other matches that you were mentioning, not 2 great matches. I mean, the Napoli-Fiorentina shellacking, that was crazy to me. Another one was the Crotone-Benevento.
Yeah, I was shocked at that.
I was a bit, me too. Crotone coming out big, the Simi show, as we posted about in that one. And the bonehead mistake. Parma could have claimed all 3 points. Bonehead mistake. I don't remember the player giving up the penalty literally at the death on Ferrari there. And Juricic put it home there to save Sassuolo a point. But and again, credit to Ballardini's Genoa for picking up a tie against the mighty Atalanta as well. So
yeah, they look better. Genoa's look better under Ballardini.
Yeah, they have. It was a tie versus Atalanta. I mean, I know it was 0-0, but I think, like we mentioned, when Ballardini first got hired again. For him, we knew what he brought to the table. We knew that he knows the club like the backside of his hand. They go so well together, and I think it's showing. Yes, it's not always wins or all the 3 points, but he's picking up consistency and bringing this team, hopefully keeping them up in Serie A.
I guess we'll move on to our MVP and cards before we have Joe Fischetti on.
Where do you want to start?
You start with MVPs, because I see we both have a few choices, so I'm a bit undecided still. So you go first.
I just want I have how many? I have like 4 players that I want to just shout out. I mean, I don't know if they're all going to be counted as MVP. I don't really know. I had a hard time picking.
You get a quarter MVPs. You get 4 quarter MVPs.
Yeah, 4 quarters, and we make the whole dollar, and that dollar will be the MVP. But we spoke earlier, obviously, about the derby della Capitale, Lazio, Roma. You obviously have to shout out the obvious suspects in that game, like we did earlier. Luis Alberto, Manuel Lazzari. Lazzari, fantastic game. He was non-stop running, being involved, coming from that wing-back position. He provided 2 assists in that game, and he was just all over the place. I believe he was involved with the miss up by Ibanez at the beginning. So
yeah,
he was just from the beginning of the game till the end. He was active and he was in there, and another candidate in that game was Luis Alberto, 2 goals. I mean, first off, it was shocking news to see that he had to be emergency surgery for an appendicitis. It's like, out of all the things that are going on in this world in these days,
yeah.
COVID, injury, this and that. I mean, appendicitis. We wish him well and speedy recovery. But fantastic game in the derby for the magician, Luis Alberto. Obviously, we mentioned earlier, Ibrahimovic, 2 goals against Cagliari. He's back. Ibra's back, and he's looking better than ever. He just, like I said every week, he's just fantastic. He just like fine wine, all those good things. And but for me, I think that the standout one, we obviously spoke about it before when we were talking Derby d'Italia, but Nicolo Barella, a goal and an assist in a huge match. Against the mighty Juventus, it was just his showing. He got the assist on the Vidal goal. I know he's box to box and everything, but man, I didn't realize how much of the jets he has. Man, he can run. He's quick. He burned Frabotta and Chiellini on that left hand side, and he put a pass there, and what a pass by Bastoni as well on that play. And it's crazy for me to be praising Inter this much, being a Milanista, but you just got to tip your hat off to Barella in that game. Like Nick mentioned earlier, he represents the Azzurri, and I hope that can translate over to the national team. Many people want to say best midfielder in the league, best midfielder, amongst the best in Europe. I don't know. Let's not put the labels on him. Additional pressure, but credit where credit is due this week. Barella, goal and assist in the Derby d'Italia against Juve, definitely merits MVP status.
So you made my decisions a bit easier because
that's why I wanted to break it down. I saw who you had. I wanted to break it down and pave the way for you.
I had a few of those guys as options. So I'm going to go with Simi then. 2 goals, and he kind of caused the first goal. It was an own goal by Glick. I mean, he was kind of in the area. I think Glick was on him. I think maybe he's a striker. I think we might have expected more out of him this season. He played well a couple years ago when Crotone was in the Serie A. He led the Serie B in scoring last year. He has been kind of quiet. They've been kind of led more by Messias. I don't know if Simi's been hurt actually. So don't quote me on any of that. Actually, he might have been hurt. I don't know 100%. But still, 2 goals. You got to give him credit in a little the southern matchup, Crotone Benevento. So Simi for me has my player of the week.
Riviere, Messias on the edge of the area. Simi, and once more the Nigerian finds the net.
So I'll do the cards first.
Take it away.
Originally I was going to give my my yellow card to whoever lit off those fireworks in Milan between the Inter Juve match.
Even today, man, they were fucking ringing my ears.
It wasn't as long. I counted.
Right.
I counted. I rewatched the video. It was 4.5 minutes of pure fireworks. Inter Milan,
and you can't even hear the announcer. You're putting in like you're if you had this on like your phone or tablet and you had your earpiece on, you must have got a headache, guaranteed.
Oh, I had the surround sound system on. Oh, it was bad. Oh my god,
it was like gunshots.
The referee had to wait to blow his whistle, and then the game starts, and there's clouds everywhere. There's smoke everywhere. I know it's a good like gesture to do, like if it was from the fans' part.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it for 4.5 minutes, and do it like do it as the players are coming out or something. Don't do it like they started it at the end when the anthem stopped. That's when they started it. So that's when the players are taking their coats off. The captains are shaking hands. They're about to start the game. No, these guys did it. These guys did it then. Just do it a bit before, and a lot less. A lot less, please. But that wasn't my yellow card. And I think I'm speaking for Gianni for this one too. The red card has to go to Roma. So they get another red card. I'm going to give 2.
That's 3. That's 3.
I'm giving 2 red cards. I'm giving another red card to Pau Lopez for being an idiot.
That's 4.
Already after the red card. So I'm giving a red card to him. And then Fonseca. Fonseca's got to get one. 6 substitutions. 6 substitutions.
I read that. Was that for real?
Yeah, it was for real. And the 6th one was the backup goalie coming on, and you see in a video, Pellegrini is clearly saying
counting.
Sesto. You clearly see him saying Sesto. Isn't that our 6th substitution? Like, you should not do that. And I mean, part of the blame also has to be on the officials. I mean, it's just all around embarrassing situation. Solo in Italia moment. It has to be on the officials too for not realizing, hey, this team has just made 6 substitutions. Maybe they thought there was an extra substitution in extra time, but it's just Roma. Another. This is going to go down as a loss at Tavolino, their 2nd loss at Tavolino this season, which is just crazy. And for me, that's I'm going to give them 2 red cards for that.
It's going to go to the pocket and get out the red. It's a red card. Another red card is shown.
Adri?
Yeah, well, that was a lot. I mean, the fireworks, my ears are still buzzing. But yeah, I think you hit it out of the park with the Roma talk. It's unfortunate, but I think it's we gotta say the truth. So, but for me, for cards, I had kind of one major one and one that I was like, finally. I mean, I think we've been waiting for this for so damn long. He's been cursed. He's cursed that team. Gianpaolo's finally out of Torino. I mean, you feel bad for the guy because he just can't get his luck going anywhere these days after he left Sampdoria there. But, Torino finally let go of Gianpaolo. I mean, I don't know if this is going to save their season, but they brought in a good guy to replace him in Davide Nicola, which was probably the one bright spot.
The relegation magician.
Exactly.
Crotone and Genoa last year.
That's it. So that's probably the one bright spot in that situation. So I didn't want to give it as my overall card because, I think like Nick said, the salvation magician in Nicola, I think he can, he can do it with this Torino squad, hopefully. But my main card, I first was going to give it a red, but I'll just give it a yellow. Fiorentina in that Napoli-Fiorentina match. I mean, talk about not showing up, not playing with any fight, any grit. I mean, it's just one of those games where it's like a 6-0 shellacking. I mean, I guess the only good thing is like you can only go up from here. We saw that Comiso and company made it to Florence, and he's now with the team and trying to give some motivation on his part to the team. But again, just sad for Fiorentina, historical club, beautiful city, getting totally shellacked in that matchup. But I'm just going to give it a yellow this week for Fiorentina's performance.
This is definitely going to be another yellow.
Coming up, Joe Fischetti from the Forza Napoli Calcio Podcast.
This is a massive moment in the context of this match. It's Insigne. He's put it wide. Astonishing scenes. Lorenzo Insigne fails to hit the target, and somehow Napoli spurred a huge opportunity. Politano's ball in, and somehow saved by Szczesny with another big save.
Welcome back to the Calcio Guys. Joining us now, the host of the Forza Napoli Calcio Podcast, Joe Fischetti. Joe, how's it going?
Not too bad. I've had better days, but in the grand scheme of things, we'll move on.
That's it. That's a good outlook on life. Before we get into the Supercoppa, what we normally do with our guests, we want to know how you became a Napoli fan. Your story. Just give us the whole background.
Yeah, mine is pretty cookie cutter. I think the two probably most common stories you get are either you like the jersey or your parents or your grandparents are from that city, right? So for me, my father's not from Napoli, he's from Avellino, which is close enough. Napoli is the team that everybody in Avellino supports. I mean, Avellino themselves are in Serie C, so you cheer for them too. And for me, I was always more of a casual fan growing up, especially when Napoli got sent down to the lower divisions and had to work their way back up. But pretty much since they got back up, I've been following them pretty closely, and then definitely in the last couple of years, I've been pretty obsessed with it.
Yeah, and it's been a good time to be obsessed with it. Obviously, Napoli has shown a lot since coming up from Serie B these past years. If it's contending for Scudetto, being in Champions League, Europa League, whatever it has been, Coppa Italia winners, this past in 2020, they've been relevant, they've been around, they've been good to watch, offensive powerhouse these past years as well. So obviously, definitely a good time to get obsessed. If we wanted, obviously, we had the game today, like we spoke a bit about off air. Everybody knows how that went. The 2-0 loss to Juventus in the Supercoppa. Joe, just straight to the point. Thoughts on the game? What you made of performances? If you want to touch upon individual players, coaching, Gattuso, take it away.
Yeah, there was a lot there. First of all, going into the match, I actually got a little bit of heat from my fellow Napoli Twitter because I in my predicted 11, I put Stanislav Lobotka to start over Diego Demme, and I put Matteo Politano to start over Chucky Lozano. And the reason I did that was because for me, I know this is a cup, I know we're playing against our biggest rivals, and I'm not suggesting that this wasn't a game that we didn't want to win. We absolutely wanted to win this game very, very much. Our first game against Juventus this season. But I didn't think this was the type of game that we should win at all costs. And what I mean by that is Lozano had played, heading into this match, he played 5 games in 15 days. 4 out of those games, he played the full 90. Only game he didn't was on the weekend against Fiorentina. He played 60, 61 minutes, something like that. Diego Demme played 2 games in a row, which doesn't sound that bad. But even for him, he normally doesn't play back-to-back games because he plays so hard when he plays that it takes him a bit longer to recover. And with only 3 days, 4 days to recover, it's usually not enough for him. So I didn't even want him to start the Fiorentina game. So I thought for sure when he played in that game that he wouldn't play for a 3rd game in a row because that never happens. Now, obviously, that's being necessitated by Fabian Ruiz having COVID. But that's why I wanted to see Lobotka play here, because now we have a tough game coming up against Hellas Verona, and we just ran most of our starters into the ground today. So even heading into the match, I wasn't too thrilled with the starting lineup. Then the game itself, it wasn't our best performance. I thought at the start, we looked a little bit nervous. Juve were pressing, and we were just giving the ball right back. Then we settled down, and I think for the balance of the first half, it was pretty even. Both sides had a really good chance. I think that chance that Danilo had, that Ospina stopped that was called offside, I think if that goes in and VAR reviews it, there's a good chance it's allowed, because it looked on the replay like he was probably onside. It's hard to tell. But I thought it was a pretty even half. And then I don't know what happened at halftime. If Gattuso decided that he wanted to just sit back and play for penalties because the guys were tired, I don't know. Or you have to give Juventus credit as well, but Juve really started to apply the pressure in the second half. Until that penalty, we did not even get a sniff of the goal. It looked like there was only a matter of time before Juve were going to score, or we would be lucky to force extra time and then potentially a shootout. Then obviously you have the missed penalty. I mean, even that, I think, I'm sure we'll chat about it a bit more, but yeah. even if we made that penalty, and even if that ended up forcing penalty kicks, and we happened to win in a penalty kicks, which is a lot of ifs, I think Napoli fans would have come away saying we were fortunate to win this match, because on the whole we weren't the better team, at least in my opinion. And then you have to tip your hat to Juventus and to Pirlo. I mean, we're so quick to criticize Pirlo when things don't go well for him. I think we have to give him credit when things do go well for him. And there were things that I saw in this match that I think he learned from the Inter game. Now, our midfield is, I don't think, as good as Inter's, and we don't play the same system. But he made some decisions that were tough ones, like starting Cuadrado, who hasn't played lately, and I thought he played very well. Subbing off Federico Chiesa at halftime, though I don't know if that was injury related or not, but Bernardeschi looked like he played pretty well to me. So I thought there were things that Pirlo did that he deserves credit for in this win as well.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you regarding the roster rotation. Even from a Juve perspective, I was a bit surprised that they pretty much came out with the top 11, their normal 11. I think maybe if this was before, a couple of days before the Inter match, they wouldn't have, because it was already after, and with everything that happened with the Inter match, I think from a Juve perspective, they wanted to come out strong. But I was happy both teams came out strong. I mentioned it before. It was good to see just from a Serie A fan perspective. But I wanted to ask you about that Insigne miss. I saw a tweet on Twitter. I saw that you liked it. It basically said, Napoli fans were quick to back Koulibaly. What was it, almost 2 years ago, or was it last season with the own goal? And now obviously Napoli fans should be quick to back Insigne with this penalty miss. What do you make of obviously the miss, or even just fans who are really are really quick to attack him for it.
Yeah, I think that was our friend Daniel Russo that posted that tweet, if I'm not mistaken. It was last season. It just feels like it was 2 years ago because
2020 was a blur.
It was like August 2019, so a year and a half ago.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. I mean, we're quick to react. Obviously, this was a key point in the match, but when you take all the penalties, eventually you're going to miss one. That's just how it goes. It's unfortunate that miss came in this moment and not, say, the one last game when we're up 4-0 against Fiorentina. No one would have cared about that miss. But in this moment, it was a tough one. One thing that I noticed that not too many people are talking about is that the last 3 penalties, including this one, Insigne changed up his routine a little bit. He started doing the Jorginho little stutter step delay shot. And I just happened to stumble across a video someone made on YouTube about it when Jorginho was playing for Chelsea. And it was all about how that technique is intended to catch the keeper leaning one way or the other, and then you shoot in the opposite direction. If you look at Insigne's penalties using this technique, he hasn't really been doing it right because I think the first one was against Udinese, if I'm not mistaken. Udinese or Spezia, one of those games. And it was Udinese because he shot in the same direction as Musso dove. And then he did it again against Fiorentina, and the shot was almost stopped because he shot in the same direction as Drogovski. Now, he finally put the ball in the opposite direction, but this time he missed the goal. So maybe he needs to rethink whether he wants to use that approach. At the end of the day, you're going to miss penalties every once in a while. I'm less concerned about missing a penalty as I am about the way he reacts after he misses one of these big chances. One of the biggest issues we have with Napoli is they're mentally fragile. And Insigne is one of the worst players on the team with this. We saw it in that Spezia loss where he had a chance early in the match. He skied a shot over the bar, and it was like that was haunting him for the rest of the match. 10, 15 minutes later, his body language, his face, you could see that was still on his mind. And it's like he's on tilt after that. It affects the way he plays. And again, we saw that today where, 5 minutes later, whatever it was, the ball goes out for a throw-in and he's putting his face in his hands, and it's still weighing on him, and he needs to learn to just get past that and not let it affect his play. So that concerns me more than the fact that he missed the penalty.
So it's a well analyzed perspective on that, Joe. And I again, you go on Twitter right after that. Obviously we mentioned earlier before you came on, the infamous picture now of him, in tears on the bench, and that went around as a meme, as a GIF, as a whatever you want now. And it's again, I had said it's crazy that he. So many people are down his throat, and now it's like laughing stock, and it's unjust. I personally find, and especially him being Napoletano, he plays for Napoli. His boyhood club. He's the captain. There's a lot of pressure there, and I guess those antics or those not putting things behind them, I think that's definitely maybe, I don't know if it's a Napoletano thing or a Southern Italian thing, because I think we all get hot-headed. I could speak for myself. Especially in sports. So, but no, I think it's well thought out. I think he needs to understand that, like you did say, to put stuff behind him and carry himself as a professional. And again, these things happen. You can't change people's character, I guess, in certain circumstances. But just, we had mentioned earlier about, not having many chances. The penalty was probably one of the few that we saw on Napoli's end. We got a question, and I believe this is from No Place Like Napoli on Instagram. They ask, what formation is most effective for Napoli with and without Osimhen on the pitch? So obviously there's big news with Osimhen these past, I don't know, month maybe or so, with his injury, COVID, birthday celebrations, whatever you want to say, he's been in the news. Obviously Mertens has been injured as well. We saw him in action today, but what do you make of like the formation Is the formation that Gattuso is using right now, is it effective? Is it not, with or without Osimhen in leading the line?
Yeah, so this one is really what the question amounts to is, should Napoli go back to the 4-3-3 from
That's what I was thinking as well.
Right, so which is a pretty hotly debated topic amongst Napoli fans. This is how I look at it. So yes, Gattuso implemented the 4-2-3-1 because it better suited Victor Osimhen. He has that pace and he's a good hold-up player as well. But you need someone playing behind him to support that type of player. I mean, Osimhen hasn't actually scored that many goals, but he was so involved in all of our goals when he did play because he had that extra player up top. So when he went down, and especially when Mertens was filling in before he got hurt, a lot of us felt, myself included, that maybe the 4-3-3 might be the better formation because Mertens is not a target man. You can play the ball for him to run onto, but at his age, he doesn't have the same speed. He doesn't have the size that he can hold up the play. So when Mertens is playing at striker, you want to go back to building out from the back. And if you're going to do that, you're better off having that player play the number 10, which is Zielinski, playing deeper like he did in the 4-3-3. Now, I should point out that's different than what we played last season, because really what we played last season was a defensive 4-3-3. We sat back, and that was because Gattuso came in and the team was in shambles and he needed to get things in order, just like, say, Prandelli with Fiorentina this year. The first thing you do when you come into a mess is you fix the back, and then you start moving towards the front. So that's what Gattuso did, and it was effective. We were scoring goals on the counterattack. But that's not what Napoli fans are actually asking for this season. They want us to play a 4-3-3, but they want to play an attacking 4-3-3. So it's a little bit different. With Mertens at striker, you want to build out from the back. You put Zielinski and Fabian in the midfield with Bakayoko or Demme, whoever it is. Then when Mertens got hurt and we had to put Petagna at striker, I think it, again, made sense to play the 4-2-3-1 because Petagna is a target man. Now, he's not like Osimhen that he can run onto the ball because he, too, doesn't have the pace. But what we've seen with him and what we know about him is that he's an excellent hold-up player. And when you hold up a play, again, you need players behind you to lay the ball off to, whether that's your wingers or to someone like Zielinski or when Mertens was playing behind them or when Mertens was playing behind Osimhen that you can lay the ball off to. So I'm personally fine with the 4-2-3-1. In the end, I don't think they're really that different. This is something Napoli fans have really gotten caught up on, and I don't really understand why. And it might be because we haven't taken the time to think about what the difference is. The other thing that people don't think about is these are all attacking formations. They're not defensive formations. We defend in a 4-4-2, which is basically the two wingers drop when we're defending. Last season in the 4-3-3, we defended in a 4-5-1 again because the two wingers drop. And if you wanted to do the same thing, you would just get Zielinski to drop, and now you're in a 4-5-1 again. So really, we're talking about attacking formations. Personally, with Petagna playing at striker, I'm fine with the 4-2-3-1.
And so I know, recency bias is going to have us talking about the Supercoppa, but, it was a big win for Napoli on the weekend, 6-0 against Fiorentina, tied for their biggest win of the season. They beat Genoa 6-0, but that was a game in which Genoa had many players out for COVID, so I think a lot of people are going to say this 6-0 win is more impressive. What did you think of that game?
Yeah, I thought it was impressive. I mean, just to touch again on the formation, I didn't hear anybody saying we need to go back to a 4-3-3 when we were blowing up. That only comes up when we're losing.
Of course.
But what was the most impressive about the Fiorentina match is that we only had 10 shot attempts in that match. I think we're probably first or second in Serie A in terms of total shot attempts across the whole season. Or definitely, I think it's shot attempts. Maybe it's shots on target. So we take a lot of shots, and we score a lot of goals. We're also up there in terms of most goals. But you can definitely make a case that, at least in certain matches, we were not clinical enough. We had lots of chances and we didn't score. So to take 10 shot attempts and to put 6 of them in the back of the goal, that's something we've been waiting for a long time. It's not probably something you can expect. It was one of those games where we couldn't seem to miss. but it was welcome and very, very happy with that performance.
Yeah, and 6-0 shellacking. I think any fan will take that, twice on Sunday, But we mentioned it before. Total domination by Napoli, and again, it shows how, even without Osimhen, they've invested a lot, and they can still score from other areas. Other players can step up. Obviously,
and also,
different circumstances today. No, go.
Everyone's criticizing Insigne today.
Yeah.
But we were just praising him on the weekend because of how amazing he was in that game, right? So we have memories when it comes to these. We're pretty quick to jump on the blame person, and I'm sure by Sunday when we play Hellas Verona, we'll be back to normal. And if we win, we'll be praising whoever did the best thing in that match, and if we lose, we'll be crucifying whoever did the worst thing.
That's sports.
That's exactly it. But when you're winning or when you're shellacking somebody, it's like, oh my God, they're the best. And when you lose, oh my God, fire this, fire that, whatever. Trade them all, get rid of everybody. But we have two questions that we want to say. I just wanted to ask you, and I'll leave probably the other question for Nick, but. About Gattuso, obviously, you mentioned before, he came into the team, did what he could with what he had, and he changed a lot. And obviously, I think they had a good ending to the season. Obviously, winning the Coppa Italia and doing as well as they did. And obviously, he's a Milanista, so for me, it's big. He's my boy. I just want to, know, Joe, what do you make about Gattuso? Now in this second year, obviously we've seen all over Twitter, depending on results, it's like, okay, Gattuso, we got to move on from Gattuso, sack Gattuso, let's change and whatnot, because he's not the man for the job. I just want to hear your thoughts about maybe those types of comments, or what you make of Gattuso as a manager, what he brings to Napoli, and can he bring this team any further than he's already shown with Napoli?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm very happy with Gattuso. I was very happy with the signing at the time before we had any success under him. Even while, when he first started, the results were poor before they got better. I think he has the right personality for this team. We needed, again, when you go back to last season, you think about the mutiny and all of that stuff. We needed someone that was going to come in and be a little bit of a disciplinarian, and he's done that. The perfect example is Lozano. Last season, he didn't get the playing time he wanted. He was being used out of position. I read a quote where he said that he was constantly asking his wife, "What am I doing here?" And now you look at him, and I think a lot of that has to do with Gattuso, right? Like, I actually tweeted out today that I think one of the most impressive improvements I've seen from Chucky Lozano this season over last season is his willingness to track back and help defend. Because there was one play where he came back, Petagna made it like an errant switch, and it looked like it was going to lead to a Juventus chance, and he came flying back. I mean, he has crazy pace, and he won the ball back, and he's been doing that all season. So, Gattuso is improving his players. I personally think that the criticism of his tactics is not really warranted either. I know he's still learning. He's still up and coming. He's nowhere near some of the better coaches in the league, like Simone Inzaghi, for example. But I think his tactics are improving. I would like to see him rotate a little bit more, like he did after the lockdown of last season. But I think a lot of that has been dictated by the injuries. And that's another reason why I wouldn't be so quick to sack him. I definitely would not sack him during the season, because what are you really going to achieve? You're going to have to bring in another caretaker manager, which is what Gattuso was initially supposed to be. And that means you're not going to get a really high quality manager. You're going to get another Gattuso. So you might as well just keep the current Gattuso, right? If you're going to
exactly.
make that change at the end of the season. And even then, I mean, I tend to be more conservative on these things, and maybe I give people too much of an opportunity. But when you're playing, and he says this all the time, that this is not football that we're playing. When you're playing every 3 to 4 days, I don't think that's a fair opportunity for him to instill his philosophy and his strategy. I think we need to give him a season, a normal season where you're playing once a week, maybe twice a week during European competitions. And then if it still fails, then yeah, you can look at other options. The other thing that we have to keep in mind as well is this is one of the most competitive Serie A campaigns that we've had in a really, really long time.
Absolutely.
So even getting into that top four is going to be very difficult. So not getting in again is not something for me that would necessarily warrant sacking him.
I was going to ask you about that, the playing every 3-4 days. So in Napoli's case, they played on January 6th in the Serie A. They played January 13th in the Coppa Italia, 2 midweek games on top of the regular weekend games. Played today's Supercoppa, playing next week again in the Coppa Italia. If they beat Spezia, the semifinals are on February 3rd and February 10th. So that alone is 5 midweek games in a row. After that, they have Europa League for 2 weeks, so they could play up to 7 weeks of 2 games every week. How much focus do you think Napoli should put on the Europa League? How much focus do you think they should put on the Coppa Italia, on the Serie A? With the Serie A, they are in third. They're 6 points behind, or sorry, 9 points behind Milan. Where do you think Napoli should try to focus on one competition, or should right now they should just go all in on all three?
No, I don't think they should go all in on all three. I view that the strategy for these different cups the same way as I did for today. Of course, you want to win, but you have to prioritize first, and then you play a squad that you think will give you the best chance, but also considering the other competition. So for me, Serie A, number one priority. We have to get back into the Champions League. Adriano would know this from being a Milan fan. Each year you miss the Champions League, it becomes harder to get back into the Champions League. And the reason for that is because you don't get the revenue from playing in the Champions League. And a lot of people...
10 years, my friend. 10 years, my friend. Exactly. 10 years. We're still waiting.
Well, hopefully this year, I want to see Milan get back in. So hopefully...
Attaboy, Joe.
I want to see Napoli win the Scudetto before Milan, but I'd rather... I actually tweeted this today, too. If Napoli's not winning it, I'd rather Milan win it than Juventus. Sorry, Nick. But
a lot of people say that. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're used
to it. I love that.
But, I mean... The point is that as you miss it, there's such a big difference between the revenue you make from Champions League and Europa League, and that it really hinders your ability to buy players and improve the team. And a lot of Napoli fans ignore that. They just focus on, they just want to win everything. And, you see it all the time. We need to play Lozano every game. We need to play them every game. Well, that's physically probably not possible. And if you did that, they're going to get hurt. You mentioned the schedule. One of the good things is, all things considered, and I'll knock on wood, but we've been pretty good as far as injuries go. We've had we've had the whole Osimhen situation. I mean, it just sucks that all of our injuries have been to strikers. But, you look at some of the other teams, Milan is, to me, the exception in that they have all of these injuries and yet somehow they're delivering consistent results. Every team is dropping results. Every team is struggling. Earlier in the year, Inter were missing a lot of players when they lost the derby. Juve, right now, missing a lot of players with COVID. So that's something you have to manage, and that makes it even harder when you're playing so regularly. But back to the question, I think Serie A, top priority for me. That's where I would always play our best 11. Europa League is where I would play. I would try to prioritize as second, and then Coppa Italia is third, but that kind of changes depending on how things go, right?
Yeah, no, that's super fair. I think that was perfectly said. And talking about all these competitions, talking about the crazy year plus that we've had with COVID and just injuries and whatnot, scheduling games after games after games, it's been a lot. We still are in the mercato madness, as we like to call it over here. Napoli, I believe, have been relatively quiet, if I'm not mistaken. What do you? I don't know if you like to touch upon Mercato. I don't know if that's up your alley, but if you can say about maybe some additions they should add or some guys they should get rid of to bring in other players, where do you think they should finish off this Mercato, and what positions do they need the most help in?
Sure. So first, I think for this Mercato, the outbound is more important than the inbound. I don't anticipate that we're going to sign too many players. The number one priority is to sell Arkadiusz Milik, and it sounds like we're just putting the final touches on that deal. He should be heading to Marseille. I've read that Kevin Malqui may be going to Parma, which makes sense because he's not in favor with Gattuso. They seem to get along fine. He just, for whatever reason, Gattuso doesn't want to play him. Instead, Di Lorenzo plays almost every single game. But then we have LC2 that could kind of play on both sides. And then there's been interest apparently from Torino for Lobotka, but it doesn't sound like we're too eager to let him go just yet, at least not on the terms that they're offering. So those are the three names that I've seen mostly on the outbound. And Fernando Llorente as well is another one that, some interest. The problem with some of these guys is the salary that they make. Llorente is one of the higher paid players on the team, and for a guy that doesn't really play much, that's a tough sell. On the inbound, like I said, I don't think we're going to bring anyone in right now. The most serious one that we've heard is Mattia Zaccagni from Hellas Verona, and it sounds like they're trying to do the same type of deal that we did with Amir Rahmani, where we sign him now but loan him back for the balance of the season, and then he joins us for next season. And then what most Napoli fans want, and we saw why today, is a better left back. And I think that was something that we probably should have addressed last Mercato in the summer. We were linked to a number of left backs. Part of the problem there, though, is typically the way Napoli handles transfers is we like to buy our replacement player before we sell the guy that's being replaced. And before we can, the problem is we need to get rid of one of our existing guys. We have Gulam, we have Mario Rui, and we have El Cid Kusai. And the reason I don't think that's going to be resolved until the summer is because there's a lot of uncertainty around those guys. Mario Rui probably stays, but Fauzi Gulam, we don't know. I think they're trying to sell him, but again, with his salary and his injury that he's come back from, there's not that much interest in him. And then Kusai, his contract is coming up for expiry, so either we're going to renew him, which seems, his agent flip-flops. So one day he wants to stay, one day he wants to go. He wants to play for a bigger club. He wants to play for Napoli. It's all over the place. For me, I'd rather just let him go. I'm not that fond of him. Gattuso is because he can play on both sides. But that's why I don't think we're going to get another left back until the summer.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, Johnny's not here right now, but he definitely agrees with you on the left back thing. I think we all do, but Johnny, I'm going to say it. He definitely agrees with you on the left back situation. He's been ripping on Mario Rui for seasons now, so he's definitely got your back on that.
Well, Napoli fans do this funny thing where when Mario Rui starts, we rip on him, and then when El Cid Kusai starts, we rip on him. Ulam, we have fond memories of him, so he gets off a little bit easier. And actually, he's like one of the few players on our team that actually knows how to cross the ball. That's been a big issue for us. And he plays in a decent cross, but he just doesn't have the pace to keep up with some of these wing backs in the league, so he doesn't play too much.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I just want to add that in because Johnny, like I said, is not here, but he definitely agrees. Also, other links with Emerson Palmieri, which seems like another name that's always around Napoli. But
it's been like 3-4 years now. It's always been Palmieri.
I don't know if it's exactly. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I would like for him to come to Serie A, obviously a national team player, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Joe, before we just let you go, quickly, I don't know if you're Scotty Montego. I don't know if you don't like to make predictions. I don't know, like the Napoletan that you are. Top 4 for Napoli. I know you said that it has to be an objective, but do they make the top 4? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Perfect. That's all we had to hear. That's all we need. We don't want a deep dive. That's it. A quick prediction from Joe. But again, Joe, from myself, Nicholas, and Johnny, who couldn't make it tonight, all three of us, we want to just thank you so much for coming on the pod tonight, taking the time out of your night, dealing with the kids and coming on. We definitely do appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. So where can everybody find yourself personally, your podcast that you do, all the great work that you do on social media?
Yeah, no, first of all, thanks for having me. I love talking calcio, so I'm happy to come on, and I love listening to your show. So it was a pleasure.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You can find me on mostly on Twitter at Joe_Fischetti5. You can find the podcast at Forza Napoli Pod. And a quick plug, I'm just starting tomorrow we're recording our first episode of our Forza Napoli Worldwide series. So it's basically going to give Napoli fans around the world a platform to come on, and most of them want to rant. You can come on and say good things too, but no, they all want to rip on us. So that'll be coming out shortly.
Beautiful. So you heard it here first on the Calcio, guys. Make sure to look out for that for Joe's new venture. We see the Raf and Raf rant I've seen on Twitter with our good friend Rafa Rispo, but and company over there. So yeah, it's probably gonna be a lot of ranting, but it's all in good fun. That's what the Calcio community does to us. I think when we're up, we're up. When we're down, and there's no in between. I think, but
as long as no lines are crossed,
that's it.
Yeah,
as long as no lines are crossed.
Everybody, we're a big community, I think, and we're definitely happy to be a part of it. But again, thank you so much, Joe. And where you can find us, guys, like we say it every week, at the Calcio Guys on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. Catch our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Give it a share, give it a like, a subscription. Tell your friends about us, and we'll be back next week to talk more Calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano DiNardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.